Oh hi. Leipzig, the city in Germany located in the west of the federal land of Saxony. On population. More than card people. Leipzig are the largest city of Saxony and the 8th in Germany and also one of the most quickly growing large cities of the country. Known for the university and fairs, Leipzig represents the economic, cultural, scientific and transport center of central Germany. Together with located in 32 km to the west of Halle in the state of Saxony Anhalt, Leipzig forms city agglomeration with population about 1.1 million people, and is one of economically most developed regions of East Germany. After obtaining city and trade privileges in 1165, Leipzig, already during the German resettlement on the east, acquired the status of the important center of trade, first of all thanks to trade in the furs, which died away after World War II. Besides, since the period of the late Middle Ages, especially from the moment of foundation of the Leipzig University, the city was the center of the German publishing and book trade, keeping this status up to the end of the 1940th years. Bach and Mendelssohn's long-term activity represent the rich musical tradition of Leipzig proceeding up to now, as which embodiment serves St. Thomas Chorus and Gavin Cause presently. According to archaeological data, Leipzig was founded about 900 as the Slavic Serbulushitzki settlement, which was located on both river banks to the school desk. At the beginning of the 10th century, the Leipzig lowland was won by Franks, and in the north of future city the small strengthening finished probably about 930 was built. The first written mention of him under the name of Erbs-Libsy occurs in Titmer Mersbergski's chronicle, and is dated 1015. Chronicon 7:25. According to this record, the Bishop of Meissen Ado I. 955-1015. On the way from Poland died here. In 1165 the settlement, thanks to the Meissen Margrave Otto II, found the city rights and market privileges. Approximately the city church of St. Nicolai and monastic church of St. Foma, which are architectural dominants of the downtown and today, were built at this time. Leipzig, which was on crossing of important tradeways of Viaduct Regia in the Middle Ages. Santiago de Compostela, Paris, Frankfurt, Leipzig, Krakow, and Viaduct Imperi, Stettin, Nuremberg, Rome, gradually became the large center of trade. The Leipzig Trade Fair, which in 1497 received the protective status of imperial, was one of the first in known way, and was of great importance not only for an economic relationship of Germany with Eastern Europe, but first of all for development of the city. In 1439 Leipzig, as a part of the Meissen Margravate, was a part of a Kurfürstwo Saxony, and since 1485, following the results of the so-called Leipzig section, was under the power of the Saxon dukes, who elected the capital before little significant Dresden. The 30 Years' War not only led to considerable destructions. During the period between 1631 and 1642 Leipzig was besieged the whole 5 times, but also reduced the population of the city by a third, became a hard blow for the city. From 18 to 12,000 people. Besides, Leipzig became the witness of 2 large battles of this war. Breitenfeldski on September 17, 1631 and Lietzenski on November 16, 1632, and in the last the Swedish King Gustav II Adolf in the battlefield fell. During the period between 1756 and 1763, the city was engaged in 7 years' war by Prussian troops. As a result, in the next years the old city's strengthenings which showed the inefficiency on which Blaise began to plant trees that since 1784, at the initiative of the burgomaster Karl Wilhelm Müller of the time, developed into arrangement of the wide promenade surrounding the internal city from him in general the regular green plantings which remained up to never investigated. In October 1813, Leipzig and its vicinities became the arena of the fierce multi-day battle which became history as fight of the people and become the largest armed opposition not only eras of Napoleonic wars, but also all the 19th century. The same year in Leipzig Richard Wagner was born. Under the influence of Friedrich List's ideas and efforts of the private Leipzig and Dresden Railway Company in 1839 through railway communication with Dresden was open. The message to Olsen was open already on April 24, 1837. This site of a way became the first railway route of distant following in Germany. Thanks to it, Leipzig quickly became the most important transport center of central Germany, and in the second half of the 19th century contained already 6 stations. Rapid development and expansion of the city changed the appearance of the city. At a turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, significant monumental public buildings of Imperial Court, University Library, the new Town Hall, Conservatory, new Gevenkau, the City Trade Yard, the main station, new theatre, the main mail and the university at August Square, etc. were built. In 1912 in the city the German Library, German of Deutsche Bücherei, now being the most important part of the German National Library, was founded. During the November Revolution of 1918, which led to overthrow of the monarchy in Leipzig, the diarchy caused by formation of City Council of Workers and Soldiers under the direction of Independent Social Democratic Party was established. The conflict reached the sharp phase in the spring of 1919 from the beginning of a general strike and with murder on April 12 in Dresden of the Saxon Minister of War Gustav Nuringa, German of Gustav Nuring. That led to imposition of the state of emergency in Saxony and an imperial execution. On May 10 the 16th crew of a Reichswehr under George Merker's team, which after short collisions returned the city under control of the central government, entered Leipzig. The Kapowski Putsch brought to Leipzig the real street fights and destruction of trade union People's House. In the southern suburb where nationalistically oriented soldiers assumed the headquarters of Spartacist. In September-December 1933 the Imperial Court considered the lawsuit organized by the Nazi authorities about an arson of the Reichstag. In the years of World War II, Leipzig was one of the most important centers of military production, and in December 1943 underwent massive aviabombing of the Allied aircraft which destroyed about 60% of the historic center of the city. In city boundaries, branches of a concentration camp Buchenwald were located. Concentration camp Tekla/Abtnandorf and concentration camp Leipzig. As a part of the Dude, Leipzig was the second in number of the population the city, and, thanks to an annual commerce and industry exhibition, and also served the smokestack book-selling industry as some kind of hallmark of the Republic, having kept, despite isolationist policy, a number of important international contacts. On the other hand, from 1970th year's historical building of the city was left to the mercy of fate and in process of decay, began to be replaced actively typical panel quarters. In the 1980th years, against the background of more and stronger felt political stagnation and massive environmental problems, Leipzig turned into one of the centers of the dissident movement, and the main role was played here by the church circles, remaining one of the few places of rather free Slovozie. The special popularity, since 1982, was gained by ponedelniczny meetings and prayers for the world in street. Nikolai's Church. In 1989, the discontent with the government of Sepp got an open form, having developed since September into ponedelniczny demonstrations, and having become aggravated in October of the same year after the celebration of the 40th anniversary of the Republic. In November 1989, political demonstrations in Leipzig brought together about card people. As recognition, Leipzig is called even the city of peaceful revolution. Besides here, along with Berlin, the national monument to peaceful revolution is planned.
To the reunification of Germany, in connection with liquidation of the industrial enterprises during privatization and the continuing outflow of the population to the Western Federal lands, Leipzig endured a heavy phase of social and economic stagnation, and only at the beginning of the odd years the small economic growth which was marked including, began the basis of auto productions of Porsche and BMW. In 2003, Leipzig applied for holding the Summer Olympic Games of 2012. Leipzig is located in the center of the Leipzig lowland. The North German plain forming the southern part, at confluence Weiss-Elster, plays and the school desk who, having in the territory of the city a set branched out a channel, form some kind of internal delta with the characteristic extensive jellied wood cutting the city from the north on the south here. At the same time now the neighborhood of the city is rather poor in the wood, but thanks to low seal deposits is actively used in agriculture. Since 20th century to the south from the city open cast mining of fields of brown coal. The Średniogermański coal basin is conducted. After exhaustion of stocks within the project of recultivation, a part of pits was flooded, having formed the system of so-called New Leipzig lakes. German of Leipziger Neuseeland, used as the place of Massachusetts rest and bathing of citizens. Leipzig is in the temperate climatic zone, in a zone of humid moderately continental climate. Influence of the ocean is big thanks to what winter temperatures are much higher than at similar latitudes in Russia. Summer warm and damp, winters cool and changeable. Average temperature in the winter from 5 up to +7 C, and in the summer from +13 to +23 C. Weather is very unstable. In the winter quite often happens what one day of +10 C and a rain, and next day, quite hard frost. Below 10 C. That leads to problems on roads and to violation of infrastructure of the city. Because of the changeable and whimsical climate characteristic of Central Europe, almost never it is for certain known what weather should be expected. Since 1992, Leipzig is administratively subdivided into 10 city districts, covering 63 historic districts, once independent suburbs and villages included in structure of the city in the 19th-20th centuries. As well as in the majority of the European cities, the population of Leipzig in early modern times grew in the Middle Ages exclusively slowly. That was caused by the frequent military conflicts, epidemics and hunger. The population of the city began to increase promptly only from the beginning of industrialization in the 19th century. At about 1800 in Leipzig there lived only about 3,200 people, and, generally within the former medieval walls. Then by 1870 the expanded city totaled already more than card inhabitants.
By 1930 the population of Leipzig reached the maximum, and made 718,200 people.
By the end of World War II Leipzig totaled, however, only about card inhabitants. Their number, which grew by 1952 card people in the next decade, steadily decreased, having reached in 1990 a point in card people, and in 1998 the lowest point in the contemporary history minus card people. After increasing the territory of Leipzig in 1999-2000, almost twice dynamics of the population managed to be stabilized, and from the middle of the odd years growth of the population of Leipzig was resumed, though as not also slow rates. In 2015, according to data of a city registry office, the population of Leipzig increased by 15975 people, that is the all-German record among the large cities. In 2014 gain was about 13000 people. Positive dynamics of growth at the same time is caused not only inflow, first of all, of rather young people from other regions and the cities of the country, but also because of borders of Germany and Europe, and also, since 2013, thanks to excessive birth rate over mortality. For the first time since 1965. By official. Conservative.
Assessment of Statistical Office of Saxony for December 31, 2018. The population of Leipzig was 587,857 people. At the same time as of December 31, 2011. Taking into account results of a census of 2011. Only 510,043 inhabitants. And earlier for the same date it was estimated at 531,809 inhabitants. According to constantly updated register of a city registry office for the end of 2019, the population of Leipzig made people
with the right of the main residence.
Considering having the right of the secondary residence minus 606,959.
For the end of 2017 of 13.4% of the population of Leipzig foreigners made, that is one of the biggest indicators in East Germany. The most part of them was made by natives of the Russian Federation. About 800 people. Syria. About 500 people. Poland. About 400 people. Ukraine. It is slightly more than 300 people. Vietnam and Kazakhstan. Now the suppressing part of the population of Leipzig. As of 2015, more than 83%. Doesn't rank itself as any certain religion. In the Middle Ages and up to the Reformation, Leipzig treated episcopacy Mersburg. In the city there were 4 monasteries founded in the 13th century. Dominican Monastery of St. Pavel, Augustinian Monastery of St. Foma, Franciscan Monastery St. Spirit and Cistercian. Later Benedictine. St. George's Monastery. The first Protestant sermons were carried out in Leipzig in 1522, however, as the city was a part of the Albertinski Duchy, officially the Reformation was entered only in May, 1539, after strictly Catholic George Borodati's death. Now from the administrative point of view, all Lutheran communities of the city submit to Land Church of Saxony, or Independent Evangelic Church. As of 2015, ranked about 650,000 people. 11% of urban population is the Evangelic and Lutheran Church of.
Catholic Church services were again resolved since 1697 in connection with Augustus Silny's transition to Catholic belief.
With renewal of Masonsky episcopacy in 1921, Leipzig represents the administrative center of the relevant dean's office. Now the main Catholic church of the city is the Holy Trinity Church, consecrated in 2015. The Catholic Church in Leipzig totals about 25,000 people. About 4% of the population. Since 1700 in the city there is also active Evangelic and Reformed community formed after arrival to Leipzig of Huguenots. As our main temple serves the Reformed Church on Ringstrasse of construction of 1900. Communities of various Orthodox churches. Since about 1700. And also Anglicans, Old Catholics, Baptists, Methodologists, Mennonites, Seventh-day Adventist Church, etc. Treat the other Christian denominations presented in the city.
The first written certificate of Judaic religious life in Leipzig is dated 1248. The Jewish community existed here, however, only till 1441.
In the next centuries, as dealers in furs, it was allowed to Jews to visit the city only at the time of holding trade fairs.
In the middle of the 19th century, the religious Jewish community was based in U.
In 1855, the so-called Big Synagogue was built. It is destroyed in 1938. By 1929 the community totaled more than 14,000 people, and was the largest in Saxony and one of the biggest in Germany. Systematic destruction of the Jewish life began in Leipzig right after coming to power of National Socialists, and was so successful that by the end of World War II in the city there were 24 survived dicks of community. Only in 1990 during Massachusetts Jewish emigration from the countries of the former USSR, the Jewish community of the city could join the ranks, and totals more than 1,000 people today. From once 17 synagogues now active is only one. The youngest religious community of the city is Muslim, numbering about 20,000 people. Economy. In the city, the plant of the BMW company on release of electric vehicles and rechargeable batteries is located to them. Other companies which are presented in Leipzig: Amazon, Mlethner, production of a piano, Comparex, Porsche, Siemens, EMAG Leipzig Maschinenfabrik GmbH, DL for the Leipzig/Halle Airport, Microsoft cheap boxes. The main types of city transport, along with tram, are the bus and the city electric train. S-Bahn. At the same time, the last also serves Halle and some other the adjacent cities. And in the center of Leipzig, the underground site with stations, city tunnel, between the main and Bavarian stations has similar to the subway. The central railway station of Leipzig plays not only an extremely important role of transport hubs of all central Germany, but also on floor area it is considered one of the largest railway stations of Europe. Air traffic is provided by the international airport Leipzig/Halle, the second largest cargo avia hub of Germany, and the regional airport Leipzig-Altenburg in Thuringia. Sites: Rosbach's house, one of many buildings of an era of Gründerstvo. Medler's Passage. St. Thomas Church. In Gothic style is known the 14th century for the chorus of boys founded in 1212, which within 27 years was directed by Johann Sebastian Bach. On the square in front of church, there is a monument to Bach and a museum devoted to his creativity. Gavin Cause. City Philharmonic Hall, the home stage of the orchestra of the same name. The Old Town Hall. 1556-1567 of construction in style the Renaissance, located on the Market Square, is adapted for the Museum of History of the city. The facade of the building doesn't follow the axial symmetry accepted at the time, and is executed by the rule of golden ratio. The tower of a town hall is displaced towards rather central axis of a facade. The Old Exchange. In Baroque style, serving in the 18th century as the place of meetings of city merchants. New Town Hall. The building of the city government. St. Nicholas Church. The 12th century, the oldest church of the city. Place of a meeting of Ponadalnichny demonstrations. The former building of Imperial Court. German Reichsbad. Built in 1887-1895 on Ludwig Hoffmann and Peter Dubois' project. Now here the Federal Administrative Court is located. Monument to Fight of the People. The largest monument in Europe, constructed in 1898-1913 in memory of battle for Leipzig in October 1813. Memorial Russian Church. In memory of 22000 Russians of the soldiers who fell in fight of the people. Auerbach's Cellar. Both famous thanks to Faust, the restaurant located in Medler's Passage. Cafe and the Museum, Central Department Store Arabischen Kaffeebaum. One of the oldest coffee shops of Europe. The Leipzig Zoo. On equipment, one of modern in Europe, and possessing one of the best collections on the continent. It is known for the tradition of cultivation of wild animals in bondage. The Galicia Palace. The only residence of an era of Baroque which remained in Leipzig. Schiller's House Museum. The Literary Museum. The oldest remained country house in Leipzig. Old Scales. The Bohofsky Festival. One of the largest festivals at which Johann Sebastian Bach's music sounds takes place on several platforms of the city every summer at once. Opening and closing takes place in street. Thomas Church. The first festival took place in 1904, since 1999 takes place on an annual basis. Leipzig Fair. International Festival of Documentary and Animation Cinema.
Wave Gothic Treffen, the largest Gothic festival in Europe, lasting more than 4 days. Culture and education. The Leipzig University is founded on December 4, 1409. One of the oldest universities of Europe. Here the Nobel Prize laureate Werner Karl Heisenberg, professor of physics from 1927 to 1942. The physicist Gustav Ludwig Hertz, the chemist Wilhelm Friedrich Ostwald, the philologist Theodor Mommsen worked. Among students of the university there were also writers Johann Wolfgang Goethe and Erich Kästner, philosophers Gottfried Wilhelm von Leibniz and Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche, the political figure Karl Liebknecht and the composer Richard Wagner. German Chancellor Angela Merkel graduated from the university in 1978, majoring in of the physicist. In a winter semester of 2007-2008 at the university, about 27,000 students studied. The University of Applied Sciences, FKOK, located in the south of the city since 2007, totals about 6,000 students. The second most important higher educational institution in Leipzig, which arose in 1992 as a result of merging of several educational institutions. Here training in various technical objects, mathematics, library science is provided. The Higher School of Graphics and Book Art is founded in 1764. Students of Academy attend courses of painting, graphics, design and photo. Since 2006 the Academy totals about 530 students. The Leipzig Opera, founded in 1693, is one of the oldest operas of Europe. It is known for the experimental and unexpected opera and ballet statements. The theatre regularly hosts tours of the best theatres of the world on the stage. The Higher School of Music and Theatre is founded in 1843 as Conservatory, the first highest musical educational institution of Germany. The famous composer Felix Mendelssohn was one of its founders. In 2006 in her about 900 students studied. The Higher School of Management of Leipzig, HNL, this founded in 1889, has accreditation of AIX International, AQUIN, is recognized as one of the best business schools of Germany. The Museum Krassi, the largest museum complex of the city. Museum of Fine Arts. Museum of History of the city. Natural History Museum. Johann Sebastian Bach's Museum. Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy's Museum. Robert and Clara Schumann's Museum. Panamettert. Sport. Red Bull the Arena, home stadium RB Leipzig. In 1900 in Leipzig the German Football Union was founded. The football club, Leipzig, founded in 1893 and 1903, became the first champion of Germany in soccer. The city became the place for holding the FIFA World Cup of 2006. At the Central Stadium, Red Bull the Arena, 5 matches of the championship were played. The local football club, RB Leipzig, founded in 2009, since 2014 acted in the second Bundesliga. In 2016 I broke through in the highest league of the German soccer, and at once in a season 2016/17 I took the second place, having acquired the right to act in the Champions League of UEFA.
Other local club, Lokomotiv, successfully acted at the time of the Dieter. 4 times were won by a Cup of the Dieter, and in 1987 played in the cup final of Owners of UEFA Cups. Defeat from Ajax. In Leipzig, one of the strongest women's handball teams acts. Germany, 15 times the Dieter, winning the championship and 6 times in the Championship of Germany, and also twice winning the Cup of the European Champions. 1966 and 1974. Men's handball club from Leipzig. Also I won the Cup of the European Champions in 1966, as well as women's. And also 6 times I became the champion of the Dieter. In the city there took place the World Fencing Championship of 2005. In 1965 there took place the 13 World Cup and the I World Cup among juniors in modern pentathlon here. Media. Because of existence in Leipzig of the book fair and until recently large number of book publishing houses, the city sometimes call the book city of Leipzig. The Leipziger Volkszeitung newspaper. Evs. The only daily newspaper of the city. It is founded in 1894. I became the first daily newspaper in the world. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.